I don't want the holidays to be stressful for you or any more stressful than they already are. So if that means that you back off a little bit and you give yourself a little bit more breathing room, that is a beautiful thing.
You are listening to the Decluttering Club podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Mueller, and it's my mission to equip women to declutter their homes, their time, and their lives so that they have energy for what matters most.
Welcome back to part 2 of my little mini series on 10 things to declutter before the holidays. So last week I shared with you 5 categories of things that I recommend that you declutter before the holidays. Well, today we're going to get to the second half of that, the second 5. And again, this is an activity that really, really will pay off for you when you are getting ready for the holidays. Maybe it's a little bit of time that you spend. Maybe it's a lot. It's really going to depend on your schedule, your energy level, and what else you have going on. I highly recommend doing this before the holidays so that you can enjoy yourself. We're all about less stuff and more life around here. And that includes the holidays. And if your holidays are spent like shoveling through things that you haven't gotten a chance to deal with, or trying to find a place to put stuff and you're super stressed out, or you can't have people over because you haven't decluttered, that's not the more life that we're looking for. So spend a little time. You can always start with 5 to 10 minutes and you can work up from there. These are things that you can literally do in 10-minute segments. We call these 10-minute miracles. So let's get to the list. This is number 6 through 10 on the list. And again, if you want to go back, you can go back and listen to the previous episode to hear numbers 1 through 5. Number 6 is your coat closet, or wherever you store coats, jackets, sweaters, things like that. In my house, we do have a couple places actually that we store coats and jackets and things. And over time, kids get larger, kids get bigger. And so if I'm not going through all of the jackets and things, then I can promise you there are things on those hooks and on those hangers that don't fit anyone anymore. We're changing. My kids are changing. In addition, there may be coats that people forgot at our house. And again, if you're not going through and actually saying, who does this belong to? You may discover there's a coat that's been in your closet for 3 years that nobody has a clue who it belongs to and nobody's wearing it. Well, it's taking up space. You want to get that out of your house. Maybe that's a donation. Go through coat closet, coats, sweaters, jackets, and maybe you extend that to, if you're in a cold climate, maybe you extend that to mittens and hats and scarves, these kinds of things. We have a whole bin full of them in my basement that we pull out every winter, but there are always things that we're not using for whatever reason. Go through those and weed them out. Number 7, toys and games, especially if you have little kids or grandkids or kids come to visit you. This is the time to go through that stuff. I promise you, there are toys and games that nobody is playing with for whatever reason. They probably just got tired of them, or maybe they're just really not that fun. We want to make room for the new. Less stuff, more life. And that includes toys and games. So go through your stash, go through your stock and see what can you pass on. Maybe someone else would like to play with it. Those kinds of things, even if they're not in amazing condition, frequently toys and games can make really great donations. So again, now is the time because this is when other people are shopping thrift stores and are looking for things to give to their loved ones during the holidays. So it's a perfect win-win when you get those things out of your house and someone else can enjoy them and give them as gifts. Number 8, this is a little bit of a unique one for the holidays, but I think it's a really, really good one. And it is digital clutter, specifically things like email and photos. We have a whole course on email management. It's called Email Inbox Rescue. If you already have that, maybe want to take a look at that and refresh your memory. If you don't, I would just really recommend that you start unsubscribing to things that are not serving you and deleting stuff. I feel like sometimes we tend to hoard information because it really doesn't take up space. What's 100 emails? It's not really taking up space, except it is taking up space. It's taking up space on your phone, on your account, and sooner or later it will fill up, which you may have experienced. But even if it doesn't give you an out of space warning, it's taken up space in your heads. And this shows up like being stressed because you haven't read all of your email, or because there's another newsletter, or there's an advertisement, there's a sale going on, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to read all these things so I don't miss out on something that I want to participate in, take part in, take advantage of. Here's the thing about email. email will keep showing up. There is no way that you are going to get to the end of your email inbox. You're going to have to delete some stuff. And honestly, the more that you delete, the better. In fact, I would recommend that you delete 50%, 60, 70, maybe 90% of the email in your inbox. You're not going to need it. You're not going to get to it. And it's really best deleted. Now, a lot of people are going to come at me when I talk about this, but I stand by it. Email is just showing up and it's someone else's agenda for you. And I say that does not fit into the less stuff, more life mentality. We don't want other companies dictating how we're going to spend our time and attention and our money. No. So delete that email. I promise you more is going to show up tomorrow. It will replenish itself. Same thing with photos. Photos, again, are so easy to take. The more that we do this, the more overwhelming it can seem. So maybe spend a little bit of time going through your digital photos. Maybe you delete some of the duplicates or some of the ones that you're like, I don't really need this. Maybe you spend a little time labeling who's who. Depending on which photo software you use, if you're using like Apple Photos or Google Photos, you can have it identify faces, which I find to be really, really interesting. So spend some time. Go through, clean up some of those photos in the digital clutter. Number 9, paper clutter. Now is the time, especially if you get a lot of Christmas cards and holiday cards. This is a great time to go through the old ones. Maybe you spend a little bit of time reading the cards that you got last year, if you still have them, and then recycle them, my friends. Recycle them. And maybe you keep the ones that are extra special. Limit that to a minimum. The more that we keep, the more overwhelmed we are. And we don't want that for you. Less stuff, more life. And that goes for Christmas cards and holiday cards and birthday cards as well. So spend some time, get rid of some of that old paper clutter so that you have room for new things to come in the door. We want the new cards coming in, the new things that are coming into our lives. We want to make room for them. And we can't do that if we are full of yesterday's paper. Number 10, here's the last one on the list. I want you to spend some time decluttering your schedule and your commitments. Please, 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 please. I know that the holidays are so stressful for so many people. And so maybe this year you decide we're not going to attend all of the different events that we did last year. Maybe you pick your favorites. And maybe those couple events that always stress you out, maybe you decide you're not going to do them this year, or you're going to leave early. Plan ahead for this now. What are you going to say? Maybe there's some guilt trip going on. Why don't we plan ahead for what we're going to do when so-and-so says, but you have to come to my party. Have a reason, have an excuse set up, even if it's, oh, I'm already committed. Maybe you're committed to a good book and a cup of hot chocolate. That is perfectly reasonable, and it's okay to say no to things. Less stuff, more life. Again, I can't say this too many times. I don't want the holidays to be stressful for you or any more stressful than they already are. So if that means that you back off a little bit and you give yourself a little bit more breathing room, that is a beautiful thing. Now, some caveats and some warnings as you are decluttering before the holidays. I really want you to start small. This seems to be really, really important in our community that we don't overcommit. So I want you to start small. Pick 1 or 2 or 3 of these categories that I've gone through and just work on those. You can work on the others next year or later. There's no deadlines here. This is not a race. We are not in a competition with anybody. So I really want this to serve you. And that means that you got to start small. You have to be willing to start small. Sometimes that takes a lot of courage and bravery to say, I'm only going to do this much. This is what I am setting out to do. Again, I see so many of you feel that you are in this perpetual race and you're always behind. But the truth is you're not behind and there is no race except for the one that you have created in your own mind. So take a pause, take a breath, and slow down a little bit. Decide on purpose, where are you going to enjoy the holidays and what does that look like for you? So those are my thoughts on what to declutter before the holidays. I'd love to know, are you going to tackle one or more of these categories? Let us know on social. Let us know how it goes and how we can support you. We'll see you next week, everyone.
That's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review. It would really help us to get the word out. And if you'd like to continue your decluttering journey with us, find us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Decluttering Club, or on our website at thedeclutteringclub.com.